machines and subnets in which my machine is running. I'll select that security group that will allow a traffic on port 80 and a target group. What is this target group? This target group is a set of machines that will receive the load. So if I open this target group, I just pre-configured it. So let me just create this load balancer. By the time this gets created, you can see the target group, which is a set of machines that you want to use to serve the customer. So if I click on this target group, you'll see I have two machines, right? I have two machines, my machine 01, my machine 02. Both are registered with the target group, right? Both of them are registered with the target group. And this is my load balancer that is getting provisioned. And so once my load balancer is provisioned, I don't need to send the request separately to each machine. I will send a request to load balancer, and load balancer will send the request to the machines behind the scene. So let me quickly close another tabs not required. Fine. So let's see. If load balancer is provisioned, and I'll copy the DNS name of a load balancer. Okay. So let me open this in the new tab. Let's press enter. And once my targets are healthy, we'll be able to see this as well. Fine. So it will take a minute or two for us. Right. So let's see if our load balancer is healthy and available. So it is still provisioning. So let's wait for it, let it provision, and then we'll see that with the common endpoint, I can reach both the machines, a blue machine as well as green machine. So with the help of load balancer, I can distribute a traffic across the machine. Client don't need to worry about where to send the traffic. Client will send the traffic to the load balancer, and load balancer will distribute the traffic across this machine, which is a part of a target group, right? It is a part of a target. Okay, is the idea of load balancing clear? Just think what load balancing does. Is that idea clear?
Yeah, it's clear. Can I ask, do we have any backup load balancer where if the both servers are down, so that we can send out to the alternative server?
So load balancer is there to distribute the traffic, right? Who will make sure if a server is healthy or not? It's auto scaling group. So if any of the server fails, this auto scaling group will replace that server with the new machine. So we don't need to worry about, because that is a responsibility of auto scaling group to add machines or to remove machines if they are not running. This is what auto scaling group does for us.
Okay, got it.
Right. So
And
scaling.
sorry, complete. And why we need to create load balancing from our side? Because it should be automatically load balancing from the AWS side, no?
Yeah, but to which machines we need to see? We are designing an application, right? We decide which machines we use for which application. I may be running 1,000 applications, right?
I'm asking because actually it is increasing machines at per users or load, right? So it needs to be create load balancing automatically, na? That's why I'm asking.
It's a different responsibilities, right? It's a different responsibility to increase and decrease the machine that we do on the usage of CPU and the memory of the machines. So this is what auto scaling group checks for. Okay, CPU is more than 70% for a particular machine. I need to add one machine, right? And if CPU is falling less than 30%, remove the machine. So this is a job that auto scaling group does. This is what is a responsibility. In cloud, every service perform a specific task. So this is auto scaling group.
Okay. So you mean if we are not creating manually load balancing, then it will not increase the CPU as per requirement, right?
It will increase automatically, because what auto scaling group is doing, it is monitoring all these machines. What is the utilization of these machines? If it is, let's say if the CPU utilization is more than 70% across both the machines, that means I will need one more machine. This is what auto scaling loop is monitoring. These machines. And it is not checking how many customers are.
Okay, so what will be if we are not creating a load balancing from our sides? Then what will be?
Then you
then it will not balance the load.
No, of course, because if load balancing is not there, you have an IP address. Let's say this machine is 1.2.3.4. This is 2.3.4.5. So you give IP address to the customers. Now customer will say that, okay, I want to send a traffic to this machine. So every customer is sending a traffic to this machine. Right?
Okay, that means multiple machines will not work for us.
Exactly.
Right?
Right? Exactly.
Oh.
Right? We don't want that favorite machine to be there across the customers. We don't want to give idea to the customer how many machines are there. You send a request to load balancer will send the request to the machines for you. Okay?
Okay, good.
Sure. Yes, Zafar? I can see your hand.
Yeah, so I have a scenario in which the application is sensitive to IP address. So it has got sensors, and the sensors are connected to a particular IP address in the legacy system. So now if they move to cloud, is there a way we could have the IP address at the load balancer level?
Yes, so you can have it. That is also possible. In that case, if you want to have a load balancer with a fixed IP, that is what is a requirement. In that case, you can make a use of network load balancer. That's another network load balancer that is there that you can make use of. It provides you a static IP where your sensors can send the requests.
Oh, I see. So this network load balancer may get connected to 10 different machines, and the IP address of those machines will not be relevant for this scenario.
Exactly.
Oh, great. Okay.
Fine. And now you can see the URL that I was talking about. I'll share that in the chat as well. Right? And you can see this is blue page. If I refresh this particular page, it's green. Again, if I refresh this particular page, it's blue. So what this load balancer is doing, it is sending a traffic to both the machines. Right? Distributing a load so that none of the machines getting overloaded. Okay, I hope the idea is clear for the load balancer.
Yep, pretty clear.
Awesome, great.
What was the need of network? You told network load balancer.
Yes. Yes,
you told another load balancer, that is network load balancer. And how it is different from the other one?
See, with the applications, right, at which layer of OSI you're utilizing your application, you can select your load balancers, right? So that again a discussion, we go into the associate levels, right? So if you want to run IPS, right, or IDS kind of systems internally, you can go with gateway load balancers. If you want to handle the UDP traffic or TCP traffic, right, you just want to send the data there, you want high performance, go with network load balancer. You want to handle the traffic at HTTP, HTTPS, go with application load balancer. So what is your requirement? Based on that, you select your load balancer there, Ajay.
Yeah.
Okay? Sure. So let's quickly see the examples, right, that we have. Which is the responsibility of auto scaling and which is the responsibility of elastic load balancing. Right? 6 options are there. So you can drop in a chat what is the responsibility of ASG. So maybe I'll give you a hint. One is definitely there for ASG. So what other things are done by ASG that you can mention? And same with elastic load balancer, you can write ELB and you can write the numbers. So what do you feel? Write all the options, what you feel, which options is managed by ASG, auto scaling. So I can see 2 answers in the chat, ASG 1 to 5, remove instances, add EC2 instances, and automatically adjust the number of EC2 instances. I got the answer in the chat from Siddhi and from the Rohit. That's right. So that is the responsibility of ASG, and whatever remains is the responsibility of load balancer, right? Distributed traffic across the instances, ensure none of the instances overloaded, and it provides a single point of contact for a client, right? So I hope the idea is clear. The responsibility those two services manages, load balancer and auto scaling group. Is it clear?
Hi, Kamlesh, Samira here.
Yes, Kamlesh.
If it's possible, could you please give a brief on this access keys? I lost my network and I missed this concept.
Sorry, brief on which concepts?
This access keys and secret key.
Access key and secret key, we haven't covered it yet.
Oh, okay.
Right? We only talked about load balancer and auto scaling group till this point.
Okay. I just lost my internet connection, so I was thinking this topic was covered. Okay, thank you.
So
I'll go
let's
to the
talk.
load balancer.
Sure, that we have covered. Let's talk about messaging services. Now we have a microservices, right? And in case if you want to give ability or services to send notifications, right? You want to provide ability to send notification to the services, right? Or let's say you have a component 1, you have a component 2, both work at their own speed. And you want to make sure both the components can talk to each other because speed is different. And I just need to make sure both components can work independently. Then in that case, I can also use buffer in between, right? So that both of them can talk to each other at their own speed, right? So I'll keep you making use of buffer where they can send the messages, where they can store their messages, and they can communicate with each other even at the different speeds at which they move. So if you want to overcome these situations, we want to give ability to send notifications, or we want to have communication across the services that work at different speed, right? So this is where this app messaging service can help us out. One is SNS that can help you out in giving the notification ability. What happens in SNS? This is based on PubSub model simply, right? So in SNS, we create a topic. Publishers can publish the message. You might have multiple publishers as well. And all the subscribers who subscribe to this particular topic will receive the update. So anytime the message is published, all subscriber will receive that update, right? All subscriber will receive that update. So that's a benefit that we get with the messaging service SNS, right? We can send the notification with SNS, right? So that's one service we have. And another service that we have, right? All subscribers that we have, we can add it to the topic, and all subscriber can receive the notifications as well. Fine. And let's quickly see the small demo. So anyone want to share the email address? Any one person, two persons can share their email. Quickly, we can see the small demo, how we can get the notifications. From the services, wait. So I got from Tarun. I'll take the email address of Tarun quickly just to show the demo of SNS. I'll get into SNS service, right? I received a lot of the emails. I'll just use one, right, to save the time, but we can see the notification in action there, right? So I'll go to the SNS. I have few topics, right? I'll get into my topic, right? And I'll just delete this one that I have used before, right? You can see my email address is already subscribed. I'll create a subscription for Tarun, okay? And Tarun, you will receive an email and you need to confirm the subscription, okay, Tarun? So just do that favor. please confirm the subscription so that you can receive the update in the email. And by the time Tarun does that, I'll jump to a service S3, which is a storage service, and I'll configure a S3 to send a notification, right? As I said, SNS provides the ability to send a notification, right? So let's, by the time I get the confirmation from the Tarun, right now I'm in the US East 1 region, and I'll use the bucket, this one, 01234123. That's a bucket that I'm utilizing here, right? And I'll give the permission to this bucket. To send the notification. So at any point of time, if any object is created in this particular bucket, send the notification to my topic. Fine, I configured my S3 service to send the notification, and let's see if Tarun confirmed the subscription. So Tarun, have you confirmed the subscription? I cannot see here. Or what I can simply do here, I can. So I think probably it's different. Not a problem if it is not confirmed. I have already my email subscribed there. Fine. So I'll directly upload an image, right? Rather than again configuring it. Okay. So I'll upload an image in S3. So I'll go to objects. I'll say upload an image. Let's add a file to this, and let's add a file from the downloads. I'll add a file which is day1.pdf. That's a file that I'll just add it here. So I'll say open and upload the file day1.pdf into a bucket, right? It's a 3 MB file that got uploaded with the name day1.pdf. And as soon as this file gets uploaded into S3, I'll receive an email as well in my account if I get there in my account, and we'll be able to see the notification, right? And here I'll copy this record of notification. The font is a little bit small. I'll copy this partly and I'll just use my Notepad++, and here you can see an object with the name day1.pdf of size around 3 MB is uploaded. In which bucket? In a bucket 012341. That's a bucket where that object got. So I got a notification there, right? For object that is uploaded, right? Tarun, I just only added one email address to the topic, not for all the members, right? I just added the first email address that I have received, which is ikkatarun@gmail.com. I think this was not confirmed. I added only one subscription. Of course, I can have multiple just to save the time. I added 2 subscriptions there. So that is not there. So first email address that I received in the chat, that is added. Right, so I haven't added all the email IDs. Of course, I can do, but that will take the time. I just wanted to show you. Okay, this is the email which is there. So what I can do, I can create one more subscription. Let's say email, let's paste. Now you can confirm, you might have received the email for subscription. Right? So once you confirm, you'll be able to see your confirmed as well there. Fine. So you can confirm, we'll confirm it later on whether you subscribe to it or not. But I hope the idea of SNS is clear. If you want your services ability, right, to send the notification, use SNS as a service. Right now I have shown you, okay. Swapnil confirm, you can see here, if I refresh now, you can see Swapnil confirm, Tarun confirm, Swanika Tarun confirm the subscription. And again, if I upload some more file, let's do that once more quickly. So I'll say upload a file, add a file, and let's quickly add a file. Let's add this file, trivia_template.csv. Let's open, let's upload the file. And again, as soon as someone adds a file into S3 bucket, they will receive the email. So Tarun, have you received the email now? Can you check? Another email with the information for the same. So if I go back here, you will see one more notification to me, and this time it's trivia template.csv file that got uploaded. And I have received the notification, as well as Tarun received the notification. You can see the file uploaded, trivia_template.csv. So this is what SNS does. Gives your application the ability to send notifications. So sometime if your auto scaling group is scaling up, scaling down your machines, your web server is not working, you want to receive the updates, SNS is a service that can give ability there, right? That the following file has been uploaded. Okay, I can see the question from the Zafar. Why we are not seeing the actual file? Because file, the data we want to store in S3, I don't want to distribute data to the other customer. This is just a notification. For example, we have a Zomato, we have Swiggy, right? We only get the offers, right? If we buy the food, then we can be able to apply the orders. So if you want to do the processing, you should get a notification that the file is there with the given name. So SNS is a notification service that something happened, right? You got a notification, then whatever you want to do, an automatic action or a manual action, that you can decide. So for in that case, okay, fine. I can see the Shubham also with the query. Shubham?
Yes, sir. So currently what I can see is there is a very unformatted way of displaying the message, like probably in XML. So is there any way to make it more formatted, like a file is being uploaded with the file name or something like that?
So standard format is this, which is directly given from S3. If you don't need this, if you want to send a custom messages, of course you can do that, but it will cost you a little bit. So what we can do in that case, you can use S3 sending a notification to SNS, and rather than SNS sending a notification to the customer, you send a detail to the Lambda function, and Lambda function will again send the notification with the proper formatted message if you require. So you need to do the processing in case if you want to send a custom message in between.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So we can add that particular layer. There is no problem in that. Right. Moving out, another service that we have, which is SQS, right? And what this SQS does, this act as a buffer between the sender and the receiver. Why we need this? So you can see it send, store, and receive messages between the software components. Why we need this? Because services work at different speed, right? Services work at different speed, and just to make sure the messages are not lost, I can buffer the data in between, right? I can buffer the data in between. So here, if I again take an example of a coffee shop, you place an order. So maybe 10 customers already placed the order, but the barista can make a coffee at one coffee, let's say 5 minutes it takes for a barista to prepare. Already 10 customers placed the order. So what is happening? Order is placed at a faster pace, right? Order placing is 1 order per minute, right? 1 order per minute. But when you make a coffee, it takes 5 minutes. So definitely we can see we receive more orders, and coffee is taking time to get ready. So what we can do in this particular case, right? This will happen in IT solutions as well. The services work at different speed. So what we do basically in the coffee, we have this hook section where we add the bill, right? And barista will take one bill in a sequence, will make a coffee, will deliver it. Takes another bill, will make a coffee, and will give to the customer. So what this is area? This is buffer where we place the order that is given by the customers. And that is what SQS does in the IT services as well. It's a buffer. So as soon as the customer places the order, it goes into that hook section, right? And as soon as the barista is ready to make fixed coffee, it can take an order and it can make that coffee ready. So that is what SQS does. It acts as a buffer, right? It acts as a buffer. So two services work at different speed. We don't want message to lost. We can use SQS there. Okay. And I can see, can you share the real scenario example of this SNS, Nayan? For example, Nayan, let's say my web server is down. Who will tell me? I don't want customer to give me a call that my web server is down. I want to get notification, right? So I can make a use of SNS in that case. If my machine stops working, I can get the message directly that the web server is down. So I don't need to wait for a customer to give me a call, your website is down. Okay, Nayan? Is the idea clear?
Yeah.
Awesome. Moving out further, let's talk about serverless computing. Now till this point, we always said that we have a server that we need to run and we need to serve the customers. But nowadays in the cloud, you can run your computation task without provisioning server, right? You can run your computation task without provisioning servers, right? How this happens? Now we have an idea that we will provision the server, we'll write the code for the tasks that need to be done, and that code will be executed, right? That's what we have. Now the scenario is changing. You just provide a code that you want to get executed. That's it. AWS will create a server down the line. Code will be loaded in that. Code will be executed, and then again that machine will be taken up. So you don't need to run server continuously for your code to get executed. Whenever you need, whenever the event happens, the small VM will be added, the code will be loaded, that code will be executed, and then that machine will be again taken away. So now we don't need server to run 24/7. We just provide the code for the task that we want to run, and whenever the event happens, code will run in that. So that's a beauty that you get with the serverless computing, and you get this beauty with the help of Lambda. Run code without provisioning or managing the server, right? That's a beauty that you get with the Lambda, and you can trigger this Lambda function manually, or you can make AWS services to trigger this Lambda function as well without any issue, right? So let's quickly see the small example of Lambda. I'll quickly go back to the console, right? I'll go to the Lambda. That's the last demo that we have in this module, right? So I'll go to the Lambda and I'll quickly create a Lambda function. Let's create a Lambda function. I'll give a name. This is my Lambda function. Which runtime you require, because you are providing a code, what runtime you require. I just want to use Python as my runtime, right? So I select my runtime, I select my function name, my function is ready for me, right? And I can write my computation logic in this function, right? So let this get created. It is ready for me, and I get the sample code here in the function, right? So here you can see the sample code for this particular function that's getting loaded. And in this function, I'll simply write a message. So if you call this function, so I'll say hello from the Lambda to the Tech Mahindra TechMT, right? So I have this particular message as a part of my computation. So when you call this function, it will return that respective message to you. I'll get into configuration, I'll get into function URL, I'll create a URL for this particular function so that you can trigger this function. So I'll copy the URL, right? You can call this URL in your laptop. If it is allowing, great. If it is not, I'll run the same in my machine in the browser, the same URL. And as soon as I run this particular URL, you can see I got the message back, hello from a Lambda to Tech Mahindra team. So you can see my code is getting executed, no server is there, and yet whenever it is required, a VM is executing my code. So we can run now the computation task without provisioning the server with the help of Lambda, right? With the help of Lambda. So it's great. You just upload your code, right? What you want to run and on which events you want your Lambda to trigger. Right now, I just provided the URL. You can also trigger this Lambda with other AWS services, and whenever the event comes, the code will be executed for you. And if code is executed, you pay the cost. Else you don't have to pay the cost for Lambda. But Lambda comes with a limitation. So Lambda can run maximum for 15 minutes, and the memory it can consume when it is running is 10 GB. So this is one limitation that we need to keep in mind with Lambda, but rest, it can handle everything for you. Whenever the event comes, it will run your code for you. Okay? Yes, Shubham?
So sir, I see two parameters in the Lambda function. If you can explain about that.
Two parameters as in?
As in, when you were creating a Lambda function, there were two parameters in close brackets of that function.
Name of a function and runtime.
Yes, I believe.
Yep. So what name you want to
not here. When you wrote down that Python query.
When I created the function URL?
No, not here. When you were writing down hello from the Tech Mahindra team, that thing.
Okay,
that code.
So you want to ask me about the code?
Yeah, there were two parameters that was asked in the Lambda function.
Yeah, this one.
One was event and the second was context.
Exactly. Yeah. So event is basically who has triggered this Lambda function, right? So if I want to get that information, that is, there is a part of an event object, and Lambda is serverless. It writes its logs. So where it will write that log, that information is there in the context object.
Okay.
That's why it is there. Okay.
So context is used to just debug it.
Yeah, it's info about the environment where the Lambda will write the logs, how much memory it has used. That is there.
Okay, understood.
Yes, Deepak?
Yeah, hi, Kamlesh. So in runtime environment, I see different languages that we can select. And so I see mostly people use Python. So is there any advantage that we get using Python over other runtime environments?
So Python is widely used because one, it is easy to attack for automation, right? We can simply see the source code and it can directly run. So we don't need to worry about compiling a code and doing all those stuff. So Python is little quicker to run and it is easier to adopt for automation. So that's the reason they use, but of course, it's not limited to Python, even you can use other languages as
well. Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. And last thing that we have is containers, right? Now you can even run the containers on AWS, right? And to run the containers, you can use ECS or EKS as a service. So ECS is Elastic Container Service that is available if you want to run the container workload. And this is AWS proprietary service available to you, right? So if you are okay to lock yourself to AWS, you are okay with the AWS as a cloud provider, you can go with Amazon ECS. Now this has integration with a lot of AWS services. It is native product of AWS, so you can use ECS and it's easy to run your containers with ECS. It's very, very easy to run, right, with ECS. But if you don't want to tie yourself to the cloud provider, then you can go with EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service. Now Kubernetes is again an open source platform for running the containerized workload. You can run the workload with Kubernetes in your on-premise data center, as well as you can run the Kubernetes workload in the AWS cloud or even with other cloud providers. It's an open source platform. But remember, to run your workload with EKS, you need to put more effort because EKS has its own learning curve. So you can run workload with EKS, but it requires more effort. So you decide if you're okay with AWS, go with ECS, the easiest way to run your container workload, or use open source platform, which is EKS.
EKS or Elasticsearch Kibana is same thing or different?
What? Ajay?
Elasticsearch Kibana is, some people ask.
That's a different service. Okay. That is for
because sometimes interviews they ask, okay, do you know Elasticsearch Kibana, ELJK stat with EKS something people?
So Kibana and open source is again a different services that we use in search and analytics. That's a different thing. Kubernetes is for running the containerized workload.
Okay.
That's a different one. Okay. And if you want to run the containers without managing the infrastructure, the way you ran the Lambda functions without the servers, you can run the container images, your Docker images, without the underlying machine, right? Because the machine will be provided by the AWS in the format of Fargate. So that's a beauty you have. You can run the containers without managing the infrastructure with the help of Fargate. So run your containers without managing the servers. Right? Run your container without managing the servers. That's a beauty that you get with the phone. And that completes our computation model that we have seen. I hope the idea is clear. What computation services we have. We have Lambda, we have Fargate to run the container workloads on ECS or EKS, and we have seen EC2. So I hope the idea is clear till this point, team. Okay, so my colleague is dropping the questions as well from the exam point of view in the chat. So you can refer it. Yes, Zafar?
I just thought that you went a little quickly on the containers, but that may be just me. I just thought that you went a little quicker on containers.
Zafar, I'm sure you're feeling that because I've gone with the demo with other services. I can go with the containers as well. But as I mentioned, in CPE, you only have the talk about the services, what the services does, right? So that would be the reason. If you want containers to be there as a part of a demo, give me some time after 11 post session, I can show you the demo for the containers as well, right? Because if I go for a demo of each service, that will not be able to complete the outline, because in the outline CPE is first stepping stone, what service does for you. That is there basically.
Got it. No, I don't think we'll need the demo. Thank you, Kamlesh.
Yeah, that's not required from exam point of view. They won't ask you how to configure Fargate or how to configure Lambda, right?
Right.
Awesome. So let's move ahead. So a customer want to run an EC2 instance for a batch processing workload, right? So batch processing means I want to run multiple jobs in parallel. So what
is it?
Yes, Tulika? Any query?
No query as such. Just wanted to check the first module which you have covered so far. Do we have any documentation which we can refer for the exam purpose?
As I mentioned at the end, I'll share the link with you where you can get the documentation as well as the reference material to refer it. And also in between, I think my colleague is adding the links in the chat that you can collect, or maybe at the end of the session, I'll share the common links.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll quickly go through the knowledge check. For batch processing, that means I require more compute power to save the time. So more compute power means I require compute optimized instances, right? In that case, what are the contract length for the reserved instances? So you need to make a commitment to AWS that will use the resource for a longer period of time, right? And the period that you can select, right? Which is either 1 year or 3 years. I can see the answer appearing in the chat. Thank you for that answers. It's 1 and 3. Those two options are there that we can select as the commitment period with AWS. Fine. A customer has a workload that will run for a total of 6 months, and it can withstand with interruption. So it's okay to have an interruption if workload is stopped, and it can run for a period of 6 months. So which is the most cost efficient option in terms of EC2 purchasing, right? Which is the most cost efficient option, right? It is saying that it will handle the interruption, and we know that spot instances provide us the highest discount. So it's option D that provides you a discount of 90%, and they say that I don't want a workload to be running continuously. Interruptions is okay, I can handle the interruption. So spot instances is one that we can utilize in that case. I can see many members mentioning D, some has mentioned B as well. So of course B will help me out, I can run the workload on B as well, but thing is cost efficient. So these keywords are important from exam point of view, what they say, right? Based on that you select that which is the option that will help you out. Okay, fine. And a customer want to give messages for a specific topics to which they have subscribed. So which service they should use? So to have a notifications, which service we can use? That is SNS, right? So that's how they give you the questions in exam. It's not that deep, it is only with respect to the services, right? And that completes our module of compute. Okay, and I'll quickly bring my next module, global infrastructure of AWS. Okay, so how the global infra of AWS is organized, right? And how you can reach globally to the customers with AWS, right? So let's see the global infrastructure of AWS. We'll talk about availability zone. We'll talk about edge locations, right? And different methods for provisioning the AWS services that we'll see in this particular module. So let's start. We'll talk about global infra, how you can get closer to your customer. We'll talk about AWS outputs and how you can interact with AWS services. That's the 4 topics that we have. If I quickly get here, right? So you can see I have a cafe there, and there is a parade which is arranged, and due to which you can see all the roads which is there leading to my coffee shop, they are blocked, right? So this is from where the route of parade is, and all these are blocked. What will happen here in this particular case? Customers will not be able to reach my coffee shop. So what I can do, there might be a scenario, right, when the services are down or services are not reachable. So I need to make sure that I create a global footprint. If customers cannot reach one outlet of a cafe, they can reach another outlet of a cafe, right? They can reach another outlet of a cafe. So in the same way, we should design the IT solutions, and AWS allows you to design your solutions and that you can make available to the customers across the globes, right? So in this global infrastructure, let's first explore the regions, right, in the global infrastructure, and then we'll talk about AZs. So AWS already has created its infrastructure. So we have seen the page. If I go back here, if I type global infra on AWS, you'll see it has already 36 regions across the globe, right? And which regions you will select. So 36 regions are there, which one you will select. So these factors can help you out quickly. So first factor that is there, which is compliance and data requirement, right? Compliance and legal requirements that you have. Let's say you are storing the data for the Indian customers, right? So you need a government, and Indian government that you want to store the PAN and Aadhaar data of Indian customers, right? You need to manage the PAN and Aadhaar data of Indian customers. What is the first limitation that you will get from the Indian government? Make sure the data of Indian customers remain within the Indian region. You should not be storing this data anywhere. So the first factor which is critical is the compliance and the residency requirement for the data that you get from the customers, and that will filter out your selections. So even though I have a 36 regions right now, because I'm maintaining a data for Indian government PAN and Aadhaar, I can use only 2 regions, either Hyderabad or I can use Mumbai as a region where I can run my application, right? So that's there, right? What you will use, which region you will use. First factor which is there, that is governance and data residency requirement, right? Second, which is proximity to your customer. Now, since you are creating this for Indian government, which is generally accessing the resources at the central location of Delhi, right? So you have 2 regions. You have Mumbai as a region and you have Hyderabad as a region. So what do you feel, which one is closer to Delhi? Which one is closer to the Delhi, Mumbai or Hyderabad? If I take you to the map, Mumbai. Right? Mumbai is the closer one. So you will use Mumbai as a region because the proximity is the closure. So latency will be less. Right? So these 2 are very important factors. Other factors that might impact the selection of a region if it remains. One is pricing. So it might happen the price of services are different across the regions, right? Because every country has its own taxation structure, right? So if you have multiple regions to select, pricing is one factor that might impact your selection. And fourth, the availability of a service. Now AWS has 36 regions already. And whenever AWS comes with a new service, so let's say AWS is bringing new service with the name X. So what AWS does initially, it makes the service available in maybe, let's say, 4 regions. There are 36, but initially it will be available in the 4 regions. And gradually it will be spreaded to another regions, right? So service is not available in all the regions at the same time. The deployment rolls gradually across the region. So again, the service that you want to use may not be available in your region. You might need to select a different region. So these 4 factors will help you out that out of 36 regions, which one will be useful to you to deploy your application, right? And this region is collection of availability zone. So if I show you the regions, you can see we talked about Mumbai region. You can see availability zones. There are 3 availability zones. If I talk about Hyderabad, you can see there are 3 availability zones. So generally you will see that every region has 3 or more availability zones, right? And why it is so, right? Because they want to achieve high availability. So what they did, they created the availability zone, right? So you can see this is availability zone A, AZA, and this is availability zone B, AZB in the US West. Why it is done? Now these availability zones are interconnected with each other with high-speed bandwidth links, and they are separated apart from each other approximately 60 miles. They are kept at a distance because if the disaster happens, maybe tsunami is there, maybe earthquake is there, maybe floods are there, so everything is not down at the same time. So they are kept at a different location, which is approximately 60 miles, or we can say close to 100 kilometers apart from each other, just to make sure your services are not down, right? And maximum regions you can have in a maximum AZ availability zone you have in a region is 6, which is in the US Northern Virginia. Otherwise, 3 regions is there probably in 3 availability zones are there in every region, right? 3 availability zones are there in every region, right? So they are kept at a distance. And now when you create your services, right? So you create your EC2 machine, create your 2 copies of EC2 machine, one in one AZ, another in another AZ. What the benefit you get? High availability. Let's say this is a region, the AZ which is down due to floods, still you can serve your customer because one machine is running in the another AZs as well. So these AZs are designed to achieve high availability, right? These AZs are designed to achieve high availability there. Okay, yes, Zafar?
So is a AZ not equal to a data center? See, I am from Northern Virginia and I see a lot of data centers over here. If you
Exactly.
know, so is that not one data center?
No. It can be one or it can be more. It is not disclosed to the customers. So collections of data center is availability zone. So it might have one or more that is not disclosed to the customers, that what AWS manages. And collection of AZs, right? Collection of AZs is your region. That's how it's been organized.
So the distance between two data centers could be less than 100 kilometers, right?
Yeah, it's up to 100 kilometers they have kept by doing the analysis, right? The climatic condition, based on that.
No, but that is for AZs. That is for AZs. For data centers, there could be less than 100 kilometers.
So for data centers, they are probably in the same region, in the same area. 1 or 2 or 3 data centers they might have created there.
Same physical area. Okay.
Yeah, in the same physical area they will be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
So you can see one of the machine is down in one of the AZ, another machine is running in another AZ. So you can achieve the high availability by deploying your resources across the AZ. That's a benefit that we get. Nayansha, another zone will be switched automatically. No, zone will not be switched. What I will use in this particular case, load balancer. That will help me out to distribute the traffic across the machine. So I need to make sure that I'm running 2 machines to serve the customers. If one goes down, still another is available. So that's a load balancer that will take that responsibility. So you need to run multiple copies of machines at the same time. Yes, sure.
So this load balancer is not the same as disaster recovery, right? It is different service.
We talked about load balancers already in the last module. It's a service that is used to distribute the traffic, right?
Yeah. But it is not a disaster recovery tool, right?
It's not a disaster recovery service. It is only a service that handles the distribution of traffic and the health of instances. If it is not healthy, don't distribute the traffic. So I can plan disaster recovery if I want to manage. If I want to manage the recovery within the AZ, I can do that.
Okay.
With load balancer. If you want across regions, again we have other services that can help us out there.
Got it.
Okay. Right. And this was with respect to the AWS services that you can access. Now, of course, you have a customer who will use your services, right? You will have customers around the globe that will use your services. So we can make a use of edge locations in that case, right? What edge locations does for us, let's try to understand again with the analogy. So if I have a coffee shop through which I'm serving all the customers, it might happen this customer get the coffee in 1 minute, this customer get the coffee in 20 minutes. So different is the latency depending on where the customer is, right? And I want to make sure every customer should receive a coffee in 5 minutes, not more than that. That is what I want to achieve. So how I can achieve this, I can create multiple outlets for my coffee shop, right? And in this way, I can guarantee that a customer can receive a coffee with a lower latency, right? This is what Zomato or your Swiggy also does when you place the order. They have an area that is covered in which the delivery agents deliver the services. So you get your order in 10-15 minutes, right? So they create a content delivery network, which is basically the goods that can be delivered to the customer in the shorter period of time, right? So in case of IT services, right, we want to provision the data to the customers, right? And what I can do, I can cache the data, right? I can cache the data, right? I can cache the data at different locations. I can cache the data at different locations. And where we cache this particular data? At the edge locations. So here you can see the edge locations, right? And I have a movie clip in one of the region, and customer is asking for that movie right from a different region. So of course, movie can be directly delivered as well, but it will have a higher latency. So what I can do in that case, I can cache the copy of the movie at the edge location as well. So what will happen, because I have a copy of a movie here as well, customer will be able to access the data with a lower latency. So edge locations are designed for the customers who is using your application, who is using your services so that they can access the services at a lower latency, right? They can access the services at a lower latency. So that has been designed. And if you want to deliver the content to the customers by caching at the edge location, the service that can help you out is CloudFront. So CloudFront make a use of edge location to cache the content so that your customers can access the data at a lower latency, right? And many customers are utilizing this. If I had to quickly show you one architecture, Geo7, the case study, I'm sure you are aware of the 7 app of a Geo which is available, right? So why it is taking me here, just a second. Okay, I think probably they have changed the page. Just a second, let me go back. CloudFront, customer, right? If I quickly go back, right? I'm sure you heard about the service Savan, that is a music app right from the Geo, right? And it utilizes CloudFront, right? Amazon CloudFront it utilizes, and it delivers 15 petabytes of music and videos, right? Data of audio and video to the customers of size 15 petabytes every day. So it has a customers across the globe, and they watch the audio and they watch the videos, right? They listen to the audios and watch the videos on the app, and they deliver that at a lower latency. How? Because they cache the data at the edge locations, and they are able to deliver that to the customers at a lower latency. So that's a beauty that CloudFront provides you by making a use of edge locations. Is the idea clear? See what benefit edge locations brings to you. Okay, so I'll bring this video, I'll copy this link address, I'll share this with you. If you want to see that how customers are utilizing this, you can definitely watch that particular video for you. It's not only this, we have Shira Music in Brazil, we have NetMedia Works, a lot of them are utilizing to serve the data to the customers at the lower latency. Even Prime Video that you have for service from the AWS, Amazon, they also utilizes the platform to distribute the content. Right? So that's a beauty this you can achieve. Cache the copy of a data, closer to the customer, reduce the latency. Right? Apart from that, we talked about end user who want to access your application. Now let's talk about the user who has a residency requirement. Right? So let's try to understand again this with the help of coffee shop. So this is my organization, right? And in my organization, the employee gets 10 minutes break, right? That we had. I'll just take that analogy there. And coffee shop from the organization is at the distance of 7 minutes, right? So they require 7 minutes to go, and they require 7 minutes to come back. So approximately 14 minutes they will consume to at least get the coffee. They can drink on the desk. Now, what is the problem here? The break is 10 minutes and employee required 14 minutes to get the coffee, right? And I see that the employees are not able to reach on time. That's a problem. So what I can do in that particular case, because latency is much more in this case, so what I can do, I can open a cafe in my organization itself. Now, employees can have a coffee within few minutes in the organization itself. And the same kind of feature AWS provides you in terms of AWS Outpost, right? So AWS says that if you feel the region in which you are running your services, so I have a region with availability zones, and you feel the latency is much higher for accessing the fundamental services, compute, network, and storage, no problem. Hey, sorry team, I think again I had a network glitch. Am I audible, team?
Yes, you are. Yes, now you are audible.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Right. So what AWS says that if you're not happy with the latency that you have for the services you are trying to access, if it is more latency, you have a data residency requirement. You want to access the services at a lower lower latency, right? At a lower latency, right? You have a data residency requirement, and you need lower latency to access the services. So what AWS can do, it can install a outpost service, right? It can bring an outpost rack, right? So AWS can come and can install a rack of server in your own on-premise data center. And once they install this rack of server in your on-premise data center, you can run the services in your on-premise data center. So you can run an EC2 machine on the outpost. You can run the RDS instance on the outpost. So you can run the services in the outpost rack of a server. So that's a beauty that you get with the outpost. So now you are able to access the services at a lower latency with the help of AWS outposts. So AWS can come and can install the infrastructure in your location itself so that you can access the services at a lower latency. So it is trying to reach as close as possible to the customer so that they can serve the services at a lower latency. So this is what Outpost provides you as a feature. Yes, Anil?
Yeah, so in this case, who will take care by infra of that particular day?
Anil, your voice is not clear. If you can speak a little louder.
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Yes, Anil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in outpost case, who will be taking care of the infra of that particular day?
So AWS teams comes and set up this for you, and they make sure it is running. In case if something goes wrong, they can help you out there.
Oh.
Right? So if you have that requirement, you can run it on premise. Yes.
Let's suppose if there were any hardware that fails, at that time we need to support AWS team or AWS team will help us in this case.
You can raise a customer support to the AWS. They will help you out in that case. Okay. Fine. So we talked about the selection of a region, right? What are the factors that we should consider already? So I just moved away from this particular slide. We talked about global infrastructure. We have a region. A region is collection of availability zones, right? And to serve the customers at a lower latency, we have a edge locations, right? So we talked about global infra already. And let's talk about accessing AWS services. Okay. Yes, Marco?
Hi, Kamlesh. Can you please go back to the previous slide? I'm just had a query regarding the regions. So, for example, in this case, the region is in Sao Paulo, Brazil, right? So it is composed, or it's 3 different zones are, representing this Sao Paulo region, or how you explain that? So I have 3 different. Yeah, I have 3 different time zones, right? Sorry, 3 different zones for a particular region, right?
Exactly. So every region has minimum 3 availability zones, right? Just to achieve the high availability there.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the last thing, how you can interact with the AWS services, right? So of course, if I need to make a order for a coffee, I can go to coffee shop and I can place an order, or I can use my Zomato app to place an order, right? So different ways are there. You can place an order for a coffee, right? Similarly with the cloud, if you want to connect to the cloud, you have a different ways. Management console, we have already seen that I can go to the browser, right? And I can launch the resources. that I can do. We ran the machines, right? So I can go to the console and I can perform the operation. So I'll just terminate these machines, right? And same thing, if I want to access the services right from the terminal, or right as a developer, I want to run some application, I want to build some application for the cloud, even I can do that. So if I want to run the command from the terminal, I can use AWS CLI. And if I want to build an application to be running on the cloud, I can use AWS SDK. So I can interact with CLI, I can interact with SDK. I'll quickly show you an example where I interact with the services from a CLI, right? So I'll quickly take you to the console. I'll go it into Windows or CMD, right? So this is my terminal, as you can see. I'll just increase the font size. I'll get into a service S3. Here you can see the 3. I can see the list of the buckets in my S3 service, what buckets I have, and same list I can see on my terminal as well. Right, so here you can see the bucket that I have in my account, which is around 79 buckets. I can see the list of this bucket even here. I can simply do AWS S3 ls, and here you can see the list of the buckets. If I press enter, the same list of buckets you can see is also available here. So I'll just show you one option, ACC 701124. Same is here in other buckets, as you can see. So if you want to interact from the CLI from your terminal, you need to install AWS CLI on your machine. So you can see this is already installed on your machine, right? So this is what you need to install, and you can get this right from AWS. So you install this on your machine and you configure the CLI with the credentials. Okay, so I'll share this particular link. From this you can install this on your machine, whether you have Linux, Mac or Windows. And once you install this on your machine, as you can see here, right, you can simply configure your credentials. I can do AWS configure, and it asks me for access key ID, it asks me for secret access key, it asks me for a region, and it asks me for an output. So these 4 parameters it asks me to configure, and once I configure this, I'll be able to interact with the AWS services right from the terminal, right? I will be able to interact with the AWS services right from the terminal, right? And here you can see the access key and the secret access key that I created, right, for a demo, and that I have configured on the machine. So you can see this is ending with 5E77. Here you can see it is ending with 5E77. Okay, if the screen is stuck, I'll reshare. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is, but all that
Yes.
screen is like for past 5 minutes. If you can reshare that as well.
What should we?
So it is visible now, but I think it was
Your
stuck
video,
for past
your
5
camera.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I stop my camera, and I'll do one thing. I'll try to switch a network as well. If this is running a little slow, just give me a minute. Okay, I'll just stop it now and I'll share it once more. I change the camera, stop the camera, change the option there. Can you see my window moving now properly?
yeah, it's good now.
Awesome, great. Fine, so you can see I configured the access key 5E77 ending there, and same is here ending with 5E77. So you can configure the credentials on your terminal, right? You create the access key, secret access key for your user and configure it on your machine, and then you'll be able to access the services right from your terminal as well. Okay, so different ways are there with which you can access your services. Management console is the easiest one. Even you can use CLI and SDK or ways to interact there. Okay, is the idea clear? And I can see a question from the Samira. What are these secrets access key used for? So these are kind of a credentials, because when I interact with the AWS services, right, it should know that who is a user who is trying to perform an operation. So for that, we can create a credentials. So whichever user you have in your account, so I'll just open a user. For example, I want to grant access, let's say, to the user of HCL, right? This is a user of HCL to which I want to grant access. I can go to security, right? I'll just deactivate and delete the current credentials that I have. Right? So I can go and I can create an access key for a HCL user that I have here. So I can go, I'll say create an access key for this HCL user to interact from the CLI and create the access key. And once I do that, this is the key that I can provide to the HCL user, and it can use that key instead of performing operation from the management console. That user can perform an operation from a CLI. Okay. I hope it answered your question, Samira.
Is it like an identification purpose or
For authentication purpose, it is there, because anyone who is sending a request, it should be authenticated. So with that access key and secret access key, the request get authenticated that it is coming from a valid user or authenticated user.
got it?
Just like RSA or the Microsoft Authenticator, or can we imply any external authenticator to enhance it, like RSA token?
So authenticator is basically a two-step verification, right? MFA that you have, that you use. That's for different purpose. This is, see, for example, when I'm accessing this console, right? So if I want to access this console, I'll just sign out. Okay. So see, I signed out. If I want to get into a console, I need to sign into the console. I need to provide a credentials, right? I need to provide a credentials to sign in, username and password. Once I provide this, right, I will be able to access the management console, because who is trying to perform action, it should be a valid identity, and we validate ourselves with the help of username and password. If you are doing the same thing from the terminal, you have an access key and a secret access key. Now you can see it allows me to see the console.
Okay.
Okay. Great. So, right. So we have seen the management console already. We have seen a lot of demos. I'll go to the knowledge check. Which of the following is true for the AWS global infrastructure? Right? So zone consists of 2 or more regions. This is not true. Region is collection of AZs. Right? Region is collection of AZs. So definitely option B is not right there. It's option D. Okay. Awesome. What factors must be considered when selecting a region? There are 4 factors, right, that we should select. One is cost. One is availability of a service, and 2 more factors are there.
Pricing, proximity
that I have
pricing,
included. Cost I have included, which is similar to pricing.
available services,
That I have added from the
pricing,
billing office.
pricing,
Compliance.
Compliance, which is option A. And proximity, right? And proximity to the customers, right? To reduce the latency. So these are the factors that we have, 4 factors that we have seen. These 2 are very, very important, right? Okay. Which statement best describes a CloudFront? So we have seen what is CloudFront. What CloudFront help you to achieve? Great. I can see the answer appearing in the chat right from the Deepak. Right. So CloudFront help you to achieve. Right. CloudFront help you to achieve a content delivery network. Right. CloudFront help you out to achieve a content delivery network. Okay. And which site does the Amazon CloudFront utilize to cache the copy of a content? So where it caches the content? At edge locations. Great. I can see the answers in the chart as well. Right. Which action can a cloud practitioner perform with AWS Outpost? So which action you can perform with AWS Outpost? So what AWS Outpost is doing? Great. It is extending the infrastructure of AWS at different location. It can be your on-premise data center as well. Okay, and I hope that completes our module, right, that we have seen right now. I hope the idea is clear for this particular module, and if all is good, we can go for a short break. So all good, team? Yes, Deepak? Any query? Okay, it's a thumbs up, fine. No problem. So I'll enjoy the short break.